Okay, we're looking at question 5 of your 2019 N level, all right, geography. Okay, so part A, part 1, you're asked to describe the rainfall pattern and then the relationship to the relief. So 4 marks, 2 marks for pattern, 2 marks for relief. You don't need to give very much details. Okay, now rainfall pattern, I think most of you are able to say that it's the west coast has most of the rain, or the part that faces the prevailing wind direction has most of the rain. There'll be 1 mark. Okay, so west coast, most of the rain. Remember the quote figures, plus 2000 mm. Okay, and then the east coast, that means less rain. All right. Some of you quote anomalies, that would be best. Okay. However, it's saying the eastern coast. Okay. However, okay. Surrounding area. Okay. Relationship to relief. Okay, so relationship means when one increase, what happened to the other. Okay, so relief, remember I told you about shape of the land, about highlands and things like that. So when the height increases, what has it got to do with the rainfall? Okay, so many of you are able to say that it coincides. Okay, so the higher the relief, okay, so the higher the land, the higher altitude, the higher the amount of rainfall. Okay, so some of you said things like you could use specify as more than 2000 meters. Okay, okay, well, what is the things to point out to get the second mark? Well, you can talk about how it only occurs on the windward side. Okay, because at the leeward side the rainfall decreases. Okay, to 1000, even below 1000. You see, so like for example, this part here is a tall area. Okay, this whole area is tall, but yet only this part gets high rainfall, this part get lesser. Okay, 2000 mm of rain. Okay, that would have been 4 marks like that. All right, so many of you didn't link it properly, never talk about the relationship properly, never use cardinal direction. So please take note of all these basics. Okay, then that will have expressed your answer more clearly. All right, now let's move on. Part B, explain how relief rain is formed. You may use an annotated diagram, 4 marks. Okay, so I think most of you are able to use the notes, the mnemonic. Okay, the fatty rice don't sell. This one, okay, fatty rice don't sell, cook heavy reindeer. Most of you could do this, and you can talk about how all the different steps. Okay, you didn't need to explain. Most of you stop at number 4 here. Very good. You realize that they only ask you for relief rain. They didn't ask you to explain about the leeward side. Okay, they never ask you to explain why the rainfall distribution is like that. So you are correct to stop at 4. So this is quite well done. Okay, let me move on. Next one. Okay, using figure 10, compare the range of temperatures of Chibok and Prague and explain why they are different. Okay, so this one actually is quite okay, just that what's lacking is the proper terms. All right, now they show you the range, so most of you are able to say that Prague is the larger range than Chibok. Okay, but you did not use the figures. Okay, so Prague, so what is Prague's temperature range? -5, 25, so 30. Okay, 25 minus -5 would be 30. Okay, and then Chibok is about, the lowest is here, maybe about 6, 7, 7 and 18. So 18 minus 7 is about 11. Okay, so the temperature is more extreme by about 19 degrees Celsius. Okay, so Prague has a more extreme temperature range than Chibok by 19 15 degrees Celsius. Okay, 1 mark. Alright, so allow you for the code examples of code evidence. This time I accept, but please take note. Okay, next, explain why they are different. Well, 3 marks. Okay, so a lot of funny answers. This one essentially, you see, the latitude is more or less the same, right? 50 degrees north. So it's more, the only, you can't see cloud cover here, you can't see altitude. Then the only factor left is distance from sea. Okay, so if you're able to tell me about, you know, how because of distance from sea, which one is closer, because Prague is further inland while Cherbourg is coastal. If you can identify the factor, 1 mark. You can tell me what happened to the maximum temperature. So summer, Cherbourg gain heat more slowly than Prague. Okay, so need to use words like, you know, due to the continental effect. So therefore, higher maximum temperature. Okay, maximum annual temperature. Then of course in winter, you know how the maritime Cherbourg loses heat more slowly. Okay, therefore has a higher amount of heat. Okay, then therefore, a lot of you forget to conclude the range. Okay, then that will be done. So 1 mark, 2 mark, 1 mark, 2 mark, 3 mark, 4 marks. Okay, let's move on to next one. Question C. Study photograph A, which shows a volcanic eruption. Okay, and then photograph B shows the impact. Okay, and then describe the volcanic landscape and the impact of the volcanic eruption had on the town. Okay, so most of you are able to say that it is a stratovolcano. 1 mark. Okay, so you say shield. Well, why is it shield when the slopes are quite steep? Okay, now you need to talk about the landscape. So you need to talk about what it looks like. Okay, so at least tell me that the slopes are steep. Okay, but the base is base has gentle gradient. Okay, so how is it impacted by the volcano? Many of you say that, you know, there's ash fall. But you never go on to tell me what is the impact. Okay, so things like, for example, some of you realize that, oh, there's nobody here. Okay, so you say that, you know, they are forced to evacuate. Okay, or you see that it destroys the roads because the roads are all covered with ash. Okay, so things like that you can talk about. Alright, so any of these, you know, will help you get your 4th mark. Okay, now let's move on to the next one. Explain why volcanoes have different shape and sizes. Different shapes and sizes. Okay, a lot of you didn't talk about shapes, only talk about shape, never talk about size, or talk about size, never talk about shape. Okay, and the sequence is everywhere. Okay, some of you, silica can appear in the last one, can appear in the first one. Okay, very confusing. So let's start with plate boundaries. Okay, let's go back to your plate tectonic notes. Why they are different. Okay, so you know these are all your different shapes and sizes, right? You can talk about this. So it starts with the plate boundary. Okay, so divergent plate boundary releases lava that is lower silica content, that has lower silica content than convergent plate boundary. Okay, so divergent plate boundary, the lava has lower silica than convergent plate boundaries. Okay, Alright, then what happened next? So therefore, ideals of less viscous at divergent. Okay, so as a result, the lava will spread a much larger distance, okay, from the vent, okay, before it solidifies. Okay, whereas more lava will accumulate near the vent. Okay, so you can specify at convergent plate boundaries before solidifying. Okay, so volcanoes don't happen overnight, they take multiple eruptions. Okay, so after multiple eruptions, what happened? Okay, so at convergent plate boundaries, divergent, sorry. Shield volcanoes, what happened? The base is much larger. Talk about size. Okay, then of course you can talk about the shape. Okay, the height is much lower. Okay, the height is much lower than stratovolcanoes. Or you can talk about the gradient. Okay, so these are the ways that you can talk about step by step. Start from the boundary, silica content, viscosity, then about the accumulation, how it flows, and then after multiple eruption, how come it's different. Okay, some of you start with this, then go up, then this one's the first step, then this one, or this one is the first step. Think through your answers first. Okay, you must have the animation on the video playing in your head, and then you pause at different juncture to tell me what was happening. Okay, that's what we are explaining step by step. All right. Okay, let's move on. Last one, has it been successful in reducing greenhouse emissions? I think this is not bad. Okay, most of you managed to talk about reducing greenhouse emissions. Okay, you talk about, how therefore there is less carbon dioxide produced, how come there's less methane produced or what. Okay, and most of you got it from your weather and climate notes. Okay, you talk about this part over here. Okay, so perfectly fine. You talk about what is it about. Okay, how come it increases and how come it reduces. Okay, remember the question asked for strategy, some you only write one, so you cannot go beyond L2. Okay, second thing, just a tip for you, it will be better if you talk about the same strategy in the first paragraph, how it's effective, then the second paragraph, how it's not effective. Okay, then that would show that the strategies are not working that well. Okay, versus those who talk about some strategies that work, some strategies that don't work. Okay, it's like it's less, it shows lesser understanding than those who are able to see that each strategy have its pros and cons. Now it's not going to affect your marks majorly in a major way, but also because if you talk about the same strategy for the effective part and the not effective part, you don't need to write the details twice lah. All right, you only need to write the details for the first time you talk about it. Okay, then you can just jump straight to explanation in the second paragraph. That would save you time. But if you decide to write one set of strategy for effective, one set of strategy for not effective, perfectly fine. Okay, I'm just giving you tips on how to save time. Alright, so I hope this helps you, and all the best.